activities and procedures. Again, this is for the Pennsylvania state portion of the exam. RELRA, what's it stand for? No. The Real Estate Licensing and Registration Act, also known as the Act. That's what we're going over, guys. So you kind of really need to get that drilled into your head. Okay. Defines activities and requires licensees and procedures for obtaining a license. So the Act defines the activities that you can do and what kind of license you need to do it. Okay? In Pennsylvania, the definition of real estate is any interest or estate in land, whether corporal or incorporeal, freehold or non-freehold, including leasehold interest, timeshares, and similar designated interest. So those are the interests. Those are the interests that this act would cover if you're dealing with those. Mobile homes, if there's a lease on the land, you can sell the mobile home even if you're not selling the land. If there's a lease for the land, or sale of land creates an interest in real estate, or if you're selling the mobile home and the land. Qualifications for license. Okay, there's 10 types of license that are issued. 10 types. Okay, licensees must have a reputation for the following: honesty, trustworthiness, integrity, and competence. You must report all criminal convictions and attach criminal record check. The criminal record check to get your license can't be no more than 90 days old. Okay, so you have to report criminal convictions within how many days? 30. Okay, when you go to get your license, you're going to need a criminal records check. It can't be no more than 90 days old. Okay, I would know the difference between the two.
What did you say was 90 days?
Your criminal background check. So when you guys pass your license, your test, you're going to go to a real estate broker's office, and hopefully he's going to help you get your license. The first thing you're going to do is we got to get a criminal background check set. Do not do a criminal background check on your own and then bring it, because then you're going to be paying for it twice, and you already have to. Okay, so don't do that.
So they're only good for 90 days except for criminal background?
Yeah, but let your broker work with you on ordering it, so you get the right stuff ordered and for the right amount of money, you know. Appraisal activities are regulated by appraisers. Okay, remember I told you, I had my appraiser's license, I lost it. Should have fought it. But when I got my appraiser's license, you gotta remember, I started a business in 1987. When I started in the business, you didn't need an appraiser's license to appraise. So then in 1980, when the Real Estate Licensing and Recovery Act came out, then there were some changes made to the appraisal end of it. They made you have an appraiser's license. Well, all you had to do is submit a form that you did so many appraisals and you got the license. Okay. Then they came out with some regulations that appraisals had to be done in a certain format. And I used to do letter form appraisals. And I used to do a lot for divorces. Well, my letter form appraisal wasn't in the right format. But I caught that it wasn't in the right format when I went to a seminar, and I bought software so that I could do my appraisals through the software so that it would automatically populate in the right format. And when I got suspended and they called me on it, I already had the software in play. I was already doing it for like 2 years the right way, but there was that period where I wasn't. And I got a little bit upset because they wanted me to take the appraiser's exam. And I just said, forget it. I just made a decision. I should have argued that. I could have won that case probably paid a 500 or paid some type of fine and kept my appraiser's license. I wish I would have kept that license, but I let it go. So a broker could be an individual or an entity. Could be a corporation, a partnership, or an association. I think I would want to know that for the test. So a broker could be an individual or an entity, okay, that for another and for a fee or commission or other valuable consideration does the following: negotiates or aids a person in locating or obtaining a purchase, lease, or acquisition of interest in real estate, negotiates a listing, a sale, a purchase, an exchange, or a lease in a timeshare, or an option for real estate, or manages real estate. You need to be a broker to do all those things. Broker's application. You must be 21 years old, have a high school graduate or a GED, have 16 credits or 240 hours of instruction. The salesperson hours, the 75, don't count towards that. Okay. You had to work 3 years as a licensed salesperson or pose experience as or education that the commission considers equivalent to 3 years experience as a licensed salesperson. And there's a point system. You have to have so many sales. So I'm going to have Andrea pass this out because I was going to talk about this at the end of this unit. But I think I'm going to pass it out so that you guys can you pass this out to everybody, Andrew? And when she gets that passed out, give it back to me and then we'll talk about it. So a broker has to pass a broker's exam. So I had to go take it. I had to have 16 credits, 240 hours. I feel that the reason I was so successful early on was when I got my salesperson's license. The day I got my license, I had a goal to be a broker. I said, in 3 years, I'm going to be a broker. So I started taking courses immediately. I took a finance course, an appraisal course, property management course, real estate law, real estate brokerage. And I took the courses I needed, about 8 of them, 16 credits, 240 hours within that 3-year time period. But you know what? Man, I knew my stuff at the end of that time period. I knew my stuff. So I'm always a big advocate that once you get a real estate license, you should continue taking classes so that you can be as successful as you can be in your trade. My grandson wants to get in the business. He's 16. I said, no way, Tom. I said, you need not only, first you have to graduate high school because you need a diploma or a GED to get your license. But I said, before you even do that, you need to go 2 years and take real estate classes. You need to take all those classes so that at 21, 22 years old, you have a good foundation under you, because people are going to look at you and say you're awful young, but you could be young if you know what you're doing and you talk the talk. Does that make sense? You have to pass the broker's exam within 3 years of the application. So let me see if I get to the next one here. What can a broker do? He can represent himself as a real estate consultant. He can represent himself as an agent or a home finder. He can undertake and promote the sale, the exchange, the purchase of rental or rental of real estate. Okay. He can perform a market analysis. And we're going to talk a little bit about a market analysis. And he can do any of those acts. The broker of record is an individual broker is responsible for the real estate transactions of that entity and holds a broker's license. So I'm the broker of record for my company. So that means I am personally responsible for every agent's actions in that office. Do you see why I spent so much time, Tammy, training? You'd be surprised. And you know what? Andrea will tell you. A lot of times we don't have a lot of agents that come to the training. But if they get themselves in trouble, it's their butt on the line. Because it's not going to be because I didn't train and supervise. It's because they didn't participate in that training. So the broker resumes responsibility for all the business of the firm. One broker of record per firm. So you could have multiple brokers working, but they would be considered associate brokers. So Cindy in my office has her broker's license. She's considered an associate broker. Okay. I am the broker of record. So Cindy's not responsible for all the agents. I am the broker of record.
What is she again?
She's the associate broker. And the broker is critical to the operation of the business. In the event of death, an unauthorized party must notify the commission and name a replacement within 15 days. So Lexi, if something happens to me, you got 15 days to notify the commission that I'm done, I'm gone, and that you're going to appoint, because you're my heir, another person to be broker of record. Now at my office, the only broker that I have as an associate broker is Cindy. So the choice is pretty easy. She would have to move up to broker of record. Okay, you got how many days do you have to do that?
15. You got enough on one.
Okay.
So a broker and broker of record is kind of the same. Kind of.
A broker is one thing. Then you can be either a broker of record or an associate broker. A broker of record, you're in charge of the company. An associate broker, you're not.
Okay. So in like, say, another company, not yours, because you're both, you could have a broker as one person and then a broker of record be somebody completely different.
You have to have a broker's license to be the broker of record.
Okay.
You have to have a broker's license to be an associate broker.
Okay.
How many brokers does a typical office have? Just the two?
Typical office may not even have, may have one. And you could have one broker for 100 offices. You could have one broker of record. He could have 100 offices. He could have one main office and a whole bunch of branch offices. So it's not too common to have two brokers in one office like we have. Because the broker, that's my only office, so I work out of that office. I'm the broker of record, and I have an associate broker working there. So that's pretty rare. That's pretty rare. Some agents don't even know who their broker is. So really, some real estate companies, the agents working for them, never met the broker, don't know who the broker is, broker of record. Okay. So before we go to associate broker, let's look at the chart that I made for you guys. Okay. And I had Liz in my office. Anybody meet Liz in my office? She helped me with some of this stuff. You met her? Yeah. So the broker has to have a salesperson's license, right? Then has to take 240 hours, 16 credits. Has to have 3 years experience in real estate sales. He has to pass a broker's exam. He can hire and fire. He can do business in his own name. And he has to be 21 or older. So we're going to go through like an hour of these different things people can do. You just kind of need to know this right here to get through the exam. Know this printout I gave you because it breaks down all the different license requirements, but I feel like I should go through and talk a little bit more about it. So an associate broker, he's an individual employed by another broker, Vaughn. Okay, by the broker record. He may perform all the activities of a licensed broker except he cannot employ other licensees. So Cindy can't hire anybody. I have to hire her. She cannot engage in business in her own name. She can't go out and sell real estate as Cindy Woolman. Real estate services. I can. She can't. And I can, but I formed a corporation to do that. Okay? She cannot operate her own place of business. The broker of record can. Same licensing requirements. If you look at associate broker, but they can't do these things. A associate broker's license is required to manage a branch office. So let's say I'm the broker of record and I have 100 offices. If I wanted to put a manager in those offices, they would have to be an associate broker to be a manager. Okay? Yes.
But they have like the same license as you and everything, so if something would happen, they wouldn't have to go through any more training or anything. It would just be like.
Well, they have an associate broker license. I have a broker's license. So if something happened and they were going to move into a broker of record, they may have to get the broker's license.
Oh, okay. So
It's a different license. These are all different licenses here. Okay. These are all different licenses. Okay, now let's talk about what you guys want to be. Salespeople. An individual who is employed by a licensed broker to do one or more of the following. So these are things you're going to be allowed to do. These are things you're going to be allowed to do, Sarah. Okay? You're going to be able to sell or offer to sell real estate or list real estate for sale under the broker's name. Buy or offer to buy real estate, again, under the broker's name. Negotiate the purchase of sale or exchange of real estate. Negotiate a loan on real estate. Lease or rent real estate or offer to lease or rent. Or place real estate for rent. You can handle rentals. Collect, offer, or attempt to collect rent for use in real estate. Assist the broker in managing a property. Okay. Or perform a comparative market analysis. You can show properties, prepare offers, prepare listing information. You can go out and solicit listings. Okay. You can host open houses for the public. You can put real estate information out to the public. You could do these things as a licensee. Okay. All salesperson's activity are under ultimate supervision and responsibility of the employing broker. They're independent contractors. So you could be you could also be an employee, but you're still accountable to the broker. So at my office, all my licensed salespeople are independent contractors. Okay. I have one employee that's a agent. The rest are all independent. Yes. Activities that involve the public must be performed by licensees. You have to have a license. What do we have to do to get a license? 18 years old, high school diploma or GED, 75 hours of classwork that you guys are mustering through right now in basic real estate courses as determined by the commission. As determined by the commission. So it's kind of funny. Like, anybody here taking an online class? Okay. And there's all different kind of online classes and different pricing, huh? Zoria. But the course material is pretty much all the same because the real estate commission tells them what this course has to be about. You have to pass both portions of the exam, the national X, and the state. Okay. And again, here's your list of real estate salespeople here for you to look over. So this list will help you get through this. You know what I'm saying? Supervised property manager. Any assistance provided by a salesperson with a property manager must be supervised and controlled by the employing broker. A salesperson may not independently negotiate terms of lease or execute leases on behalf of the leaseor. So I had a property management department, and I had an agent who helped me. She was a licensee. So underneath me, she would go out, solicit rentals, help with the leases. I had to supervise everything. Okay, an agent just can't do that on their own. It has to be under the broker. And I've had people come to me and say that they want to manage, and I'm out of the property management business. I quit doing it. So I've had agents come to me and say, hey, I want to be a property manager. I got this big apartment building. They're going to let me manage it. And I told them, well, you can't do it under me. You have to go find another broker that will allow you to do that. I'm not interested in doing property management anymore. Okay. Just not interested. Wasn't interested in doing it anymore. Wasn't enough money in it for me, because you have to have a lot of units for it to be really profitable. If not, it's just a pain in the butt. You know, people would come into my office. Tom, I'm upset. The furnace ain't working. I still remember it to this day. Guy came in my office up screaming at me because his furnace wasn't working. I said, you got to call a landlord. I said, we got to call a landlord. We tried calling the landlord. Landlord's not cooperating. Landlord's not doing it. I got to hear all this aggravation for what?
Other things to do.
Not that much money in it for me. But if you manage 100, 200, 300 properties, maybe a different story. And maybe one of those agents that shut their phone off at 5 o'clock and only answer the phone from 9 to 5. I 24/7. You know, some of you guys text me in the morning before class. Let me know if you're coming late. You're not going to come, right? Sometimes I see the text. I don't respond to you because I'm like in a hurry trying to get ready. But I see them. I'm okay with that. It lets me know. It lets me know you're coming. I like that. I like that. I like that communication. I like giving you that. Okay. A cemetery broker works exclusively on cemetery lots, plots, and mausoleum spaces and openings. That's when they open the ground up. Responsible for the business activities and maintain an office like a broker, but they're a cemetery broker. They have to have successfully completed 60 hours of instruction and worked at least 3 years as a licensed salesperson or a cemetery salesperson. And what's that?
75 hours.
What's that?
75 hours.
Yeah, but see, you're confused. You're confusing pre-licensing with must complete 60 hours of to be a cemetery. No, is it 75?
On the paper, it says, and I crossed it off and put 75 from before.
Yeah, you know what? You may be right on that. Maybe it is 75 hours of instruction. I don't think so. I think this is, I think
What
this,
does yours say?
well, I prepared the papers that I handed out to you. So what's the book say?
60.
The book says 60.
So no,
Okay. They're not talking about pre-licensing,
I know.
Vaughn. They're talking about 60 hours of instruction to be a cemetery broker. Okay. So for example, for me to be a broker, how many hours did I have to take? 240. A salesperson, to be a salesperson, needs to take 75. I would assume, and I've seen this, I looked in the book, I knew what the book said, because when I did this, I said, oh shit, that says 60. And since the hours to get, so you're going to Google it.
I know.
Okay.
So we should.
Well, just
write
because
I bet
it.
it's
I
updated,
crossed it
that
off.
handout's probably.
The handout, I made the handout.
So
When did you
make the
make it?
handout.
I made it just this weekend.
So it should be 60.
So I made the handout this weekend. I changed these to 75 from 60. I would say if the book says 60, go by the book. That's why I kept the handout the same, and that's why this is the same. Okay? And again, we're getting off track on stuff that's not important for passing the test. So I'm trying to pull you back in, Seneca. You're laughing, huh?
You're funny.
Oh, I am. I'm trying to pull you guys back in. I'm trying to pull you back in. I would know that you successfully complete 60 hours of instruction, and if you miss it on a state test, you ain't never going to know the difference. Okay? You have to work at least 3 years as a licensed salesperson. To be a licensed salesperson, you need the 75 hours to get a license. Or a cemetery salesperson, or have experience and qualifications that the commission considers adequate. And you have to pass a written exam. So I would imagine that 60 hours is 60 hours dedicated to being a cemetery broker. Okay?
I didn't know until I saw this chapter that there's a cemetery broker.
There is a cemetery
I
broker.
didn't know.
And you just keep looking on Google and see if you can find something, bring it to our attention so we know, Vaughn. You can't find it. Okay. Let's move on.
18.
Cemetery associate broker.
60 hours. Must complete 4 credits or 60 hours in real estate instruction in areas of study prescribed by the rules of the commission.
Well.
Okay, let me hear it. You were right, Tom. Let me hear it. You were right, Tom.
All hell to the king.
Lise, read that out again. So listen to Lise.
60.
Read it.
It said the applicant shall have completed 4 credits or 60 hours.
Okay. Okay.
So that's the only one that's different then.
No, because a cemetery associate broker already has to have what? 75 hours of pre-licensing, a salesperson's license, 3 years experience in real estate or cemetery sales, and pass a cemetery broker's exam. And probably what needs to be added to that is the 60 hours of additional 60 hours. What would you call that, Lise?
They just call it real estate instruction in areas of studies prescribed by the rules of the commission. So it would be cemetery sales.
So I'm writing that underneath cemetery broker, 60 hours additional, okay, to get you through it. Okay, so the cemetery associate broker, an individual employed by a cemetery broker or a broker, meets the regulations to a cemetery broker, the same relationship as a associate broker has to a broker. So if I'm an associate cemetery broker, it's almost like the same thing as having an associate broker at the office. And I looked at that, Vaughn, when I was redoing this, and I went in the book, I seen the book said 60, so I stuck with it.
Well, I crossed it off and put 75, so I don't know if I made a mistake from last class or Dave told me 75.
Okay,
I don't know.
well, cross
I
it
don't
back
know.
out and put 60.
I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cemetery salesperson. Look, Lex is starting to get jittery over there, huh?
I am. My back's hurting from sitting in the chair.
You can stand up. Stand
I
up.
want to stand up.
I would. I'd stand up and lean against the wall. A cemetery salesperson is an individual employed by a broker or a cemetery broker exclusively to perform duties as a cemetery salesperson. You have to be 18. You have to submit an application with a sworn affidavit from the broker or cemetery broker to whom the application desires to be affiliated with, and does the following. You attest that you're in good reputation, and you certify that the broker will actively supervise and train the applicant. No education or exam required to be a cemetery salesperson. A lot of licenses, huh? How many?
10.
Okay. Boy, you're going to pass this test this time. You're really engaged in this.
I'm passing it, damn it.
Yeah. Yeah. And the fact that you're questioning me even attests to the fact that you're really digging in. I like that, because the people that aren't questioning me aren't really working as hard. I like that. Believe me, I like that. Now, I may talk about you tonight.
That's funny, I tell you.
We'll keep you on the right track for it. Builder owner salesperson is an individual who is a full-time employee of a builder owner. of single or multifamily dwellings and performs one or more of the following: list for sale, sells, or offer to sell real estate only of the builder owner. Negotiates the sale and exchange only of the builder owner's property. Okay, collects or offers to collect rents or real estate of the builder owner. So a good example of a builder owner salesperson, you don't need a license, is Ryan Homes or Miranda Homes. So a buddy of mine works for Ryan Homes, Rick, and Rick has a builder owner salesperson's license. He works exclusively for Miranda. He only sells Miranda Homes. So he doesn't need a license because he's working exclusively for that builder owner. Okay. 18, must be employed by an unlicensed builder owner and it's must pass an exam.
So, wait, a builder owner doesn't need a salesperson. Right?
Builder owner salesperson does not need a license.
A real estate license.
Does not need a license from the state.
Okay.
From a state, because there's 10 different types of licensings, right?
Right.
But you need a sales.
But he does not need to take classes. So any one of you guys right now can go be a builder owner salesperson for somebody like Miranda or Ryan Homes, because you don't need a license. You don't need to pass a test. You don't need to take an exam. I would know that, Cork. Tam's shaking her head yes back here. Oh, any questions?
Under the builder owner salesperson, it says salesperson license. Is that just a separate exam or something?
On my chart,
Yeah.
what's it say in the book?
It says, complete a written exam prior to licensure. No education required. 18 years. Being employed by-
You're mixing up builder owner and builder owner salesperson. A builder owner does not need a license, doesn't need to pass an exam. The builder owner salesperson would need the license.
So the person that was selling from Rhonda and Ryan is a salesperson?
Yes. Yeah, he's not the builder owner himself. But if
Sales
some-
is sales. You need the sales is sales, you don't need the sales license.
Well, yeah, you don't need a license to sell your own properties. So the builder owner himself does not need a license to sell his own properties. But if he has a salesperson, the salesperson
You need the sales.
does need it. So let's talk about builder owner salesperson. He's a full-time employee of a builder owner. We went through that. Must be 18, must pass an exam, but he does not need to take the classes. Okay?
Well, how the heck you gonna pass the test?
Yeah.
Survey says.
I don't know,
Maybe the builder owner gives him a cheat sheet
maybe.
or the material that's going to be on the test, or maybe there's some type of study guide for a builder owner salesperson. I don't know, but it's a good question. How do you pass the test?
Crap, let's just go do that.
I was gonna say, where did I get that job?
Really?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do that.
Rhonda Homes, that's what we did.
There you go.
Yeah, but you're limited to what you can sell though.
You're limited to only selling properties for the builder owner.
They're not building houses, that's what you're not doing.
What's that?
They're not building houses.
Yeah, and there's only one plan in this area, right? There's two plans. There's a Miranda plan, and that's it. There's only a Miranda plan in the whole Mon Valley right now, so there's only one job available. Well, how many of you guys are? Okay? Ryan doesn't have a plan going right now in our area. Okay? Okay, I feel pretty good so far about where we're at in this. We're mustering through it. What are you laughing about?
do not register for a PA builder, owner, salesperson if you have completed 75 hours of real estate education. So
Okay,
that's why we have the classes.
okay. Let's not get confused.
No.
Let's not get confused. There's enough stuff here you need to learn. So I'm always trying to pull you guys back on track. A rental listing referral agent. Okay, I would just simple look at my chart, use my chart. You're going to be okay. You'll be okay. Know that a builder owner, no license. Bam. Builder owner, salesperson needs to either has to have a salesperson's license and pass the salesperson exam. That's what it's saying here. To be a salesperson.
Could I get one of those?
I didn't get one, I was.
Now, am I wrong on a builder owner salesperson? Let's dig into it. Because if I'm wrong, let me know and I'll clean it up. So what does it say in the book for a builder owner salesperson? Okay, throw stuff out because I'm right on my
Does
list.
not require builders to be licensed in PA.
But some individuals.
Might be
employ five
licensed.
builders.
Okay. Does it say you need a salesperson's license? What page we on? What page? Builder owner salesperson. All through Pennsylvania does not require builders to be licensed in Pennsylvania. Some individuals employed by builders of single or multifamily dwellings must be licensed. So the builder himself doesn't have to be licensed, they do. Okay? And then it doesn't even really get into a lot more after that, does it? Must be 18.
Section 201.
Okay, don't worry about the sections. Don't worry about the sections.
But you don't
Okay.
need any education hours. You could just do one.
I think it means you don't have to have a high school diploma if you're just gonna be the builder owner salesperson, not like a real estate salesperson. Because in 2018, you had to have a high school diploma.
It says must complete a written exam. Okay, so salesperson's exam is probably the exam they have to complete, and they need to have a license. That's about it. So they don't have to do the 75. What's that?
They also have to be, it says an individual who is a full-time employee of the owner or builder of a single family or multifamily residence and who is licensed to perform certain acts on behalf of the builder's owner. Right?
I'm thinking they need a salesperson's license. They have to pass an exam, and they have to be 18. If you know that, you should be good enough. Okay. Rental listing referral agent. I know we're getting it's getting like, huh. Is it good? You sure?
You're really studying this over here, Bill.
I don't know about that. There's no refund at this point. But if you don't pass the test, we're going to have another class starting on March 29th. Individual, so a rental listing referral agent. So is there any rental listing referral agents around here, Lise? Not that I know of. Okay. But if you go someplace like Rehoboth Beach, if the Carolinas, where there's a lot of weekly rental properties, that's where these guys come into play. Okay. And they're individuals or entities that own and manage a business that collects rental information and refers prospective tenants to rental units, or locations of rental units. So all they do is collect rental information. So if you guys were all landlords, we're in Rehoboth, Delaware, and you are all landlords and you all own property that's a rental property, weekly, monthly, however. If I'm a rental listing referral agent, look, the key word is refer. I'm going to collect information from all you guys, and I'm going to have a book or a pamphlet that's going to have all that information. Then Andrea comes to me, and Andrea says, hey, I'm looking for a rental. I give her the booklet and say, here you go. And then she would contact, I think if I'm not mistaken, the rental referral agent does not show the properties, just prepares and distributes list of available properties to people. Must complete 60 hours of class and pass the salesperson's exam. Sears had 60 hours again. Okay, I would assume that's 60 hours of rental listing referral agent specific information. Does not need a broker, but you must have an office. Campground membership salesperson. There's somebody that's an employee or an independent contractor, sells, offers, or sells campground memberships under the active supervision of a broker. A campground memberships are interest to be used to use property as a periodic basis. So the difference between a timeshare and a campground, we said, was the title, right? A timeshare you actually get a title for. A campground you don't. A licensed broker, salesperson, or timeshare salesperson does not need to possess a campground membership salesperson's license to sell campground memberships. So that would be membership is seasonal, correct? Most of the time. Must be 18. Successfully complete 15 hours of campground membership sales courses provided. 30 days of on-site training. The trainee is actively supervised and trained by the broker. A licensed broker, salesperson, or timeshare person doesn't need the license. Timeshare salesperson, an individual who sells timeshares. Okay. The right to occupy on a periodic basis. They work under the active supervision of a broker, must be 18, 30 hours of timeshare sales courses, complete 30 hours of on-site training. A licensed salesperson and broker do not need a timeshare license. So if you guys get your real estate license, you can sell timeshares. A timeshare salesperson doesn't need to take classes and doesn't need to pass an exam. What's that?
I don't think that'd be a very fun job.
There's so much controversy going on.
Yeah.
Not bad. Really, this class is not bad. You guys aren't a bad class. You aren't. You aren't. You know, and I'm looking out here and I see some, people that could be very good real estate agents. I don't see anybody in this class that can't be. You got to pass the test. So licensed activities. You must have the appropriate license for the activity that you're doing. Can we get that out of this last half hour? You have to have the right license for the activities that you're doing. Otherwise, subject to disciplinary action. An unlicensed activity is frequently a violation of the act. Okay, so one of the biggest complaints and one of the biggest violations is unlicensed activities. I had a guy call me up. Lexi knows him, but I'm not going to mention his name because he gets his hair cut, the snowballs. And he manages some properties for a fee. And he called me up and he said, the guy that's managing the units I'm managing is trying to screw me out of some money and I'm going to take him to court. I said, you're managing properties. I said, they your own personal properties? He said, no. I says, well, you can't manage properties for a fee unless you have a license. I says, if you take them to court, you may end up getting in big trouble because you're doing unlicensed activities. You don't think that happens a lot? Yeah. So unlicensed activities is the biggest violation of the act. And what act are we talking about?
Yeah.
What act have we been talking about all friggin' afternoon?
The
What's the name of it?
real estate legislation and registration act. Real estate, I just, did I say it wrong? Licensing and registration.
You have to know the right name.
Yes, yeah, what did I say?
You said page 24, paragraph 4, know that.
I said.
I would know
I said
that the Real Estate
legislation.
Licensing and Recovery Act is the act. And who created that act?
Commission.
Legislation, right? It was created by, not the commission, by legislation. Okay, we're getting through it. I know why I'm so hot. I told you this before, that fan's blowing on me there. Unlicensed activities. Section 301 of the Real Estate Licensing and Registration Act says, I would know that one section. You want to know a section, Vaughn? That's the one I would know.
301.
301. Write that down. Section 301 of the Real Estate Licensing and Recovery Act. I'll give you that one right there. Know that 301. Unlawful and unlicensed people to engage in real estate activity. It's unlawful for unlicensed persons to engage in licensed activities. So if you want to know a section, know section 301. May not advertise or suggest they are engaged in real estate. You must be licensed at the time service is offered. So you guys can't go sell a house today, get your license in a month, and then say, well, I got my license now. No, you have to do it at the time the service was offered. And not entitled to compensation. And you may not sue to recover payment for illegal services rendered. Just like the guy I was telling you about.
Did he drop his little lawsuit after that?
I don't know. I never didn't. First, I was annoyed that he was doing it, and I never followed up on it. Personal assistants may not do the following: perform any of the other previous activities we've just talked about for the last hour, because you have to have a license to do all those things, right, Jace? They may perform telemarketing tasks. You can't do that. You cannot form. So Andrea doesn't have a license. I can't tell her go on the phone and call people, telemarket people, find me somebody that wants to list or sell their house. They can't discuss information with the public. So that's important. I bet you Andrea didn't even know that, did you?
What?
That you're not allowed to discuss information about real estate with the public.
In general?
Yeah, it says right here. That's unlicensed activity.
Did you have a problem with that?
What's that?
Did you have a problem with that?
Yeah, I don't want her talking about real estate or giving somebody advice. That's a licensed activity. So if she gives somebody walks in and she's just breaking a conversation.
I said, didn't you,
Oh, I
like
mean,
mom
I
told
know that
somebody?
What?
Like mom told somebody and then they were mad.
Oh, that was a different story.
I know that because, people message on Facebook
Yeah,
and stuff.
yeah, nothing. You can't talk about it. You don't have a license. Leave it alone. You don't want to get in trouble because a fine could be $500 or 3 months in jail. And I can't afford to lose you for 3 months, Andrea, because I'd be screwed up here. Okay? You can't interpret or explain property information. You can do that. So a personal assistant may do those things. Personal assistants may host brokers' open houses for other licensees, as long as they don't talk about the property.
They can host an open house.
You can host an open house, as long as you just sit there and don't talk too much about it. Criminal penalties. Unlicensed activities include situations where a license was suspended or revoked. First offense, $500 or 3 months in jail. The subsequent offer is a third-degree felony and fines between $2,000 and $5,000, or imprisonment for 1 or 2 years. So this is pretty serious stuff, isn't it? See, when you get yourself in trouble is when there's a problem. So people get away with stuff every day, but if you do something that's an unlicensed activity and there's a problem arises because of that, that's when you get yourself in trouble. When they investigate it. Who investigates it? Who? You're getting it. The Bureau of what? Occupational Affairs. Individuals and entities excluded from the act. And what act are we talking about?
Yeah. Licensing and registration.
Real estate
Real estate
license.
licensing and registration.
Registration Act.
Okay.
I'm gonna get it.
You're gonna get it. You're gonna get it. It's right in the front of this. Is it Registration Act or Recovery Act?
Registration.
Individuals and entities excluded from the act. Owners of real estate. You don't need to have a license to sell your own property. Employees of public utility acting in related business. So if you work for the gas company and you just want to put a gas line through, you can go out there and solicit people acting for the gas company to buy and sell that property. Attorneys in fact. Who render services under an executed and recorded power of attorney. This is not an attorney at law. This would be if somebody went and got a power of attorney. And you can't do that to circumvent the law. So Ray can't go out and say, hey, Ellen, sign this. I'm going to sell the property for you. I'm going to do it for 1%. Sign this power of attorney. Give me permission. Because he's trying to circumvent the law by doing that. But you could go, let's say you had a family member. Let's say you had a parent and they needed some help and they weren't capable, but they were able to sign power of attorney to. You could sell her property if you had that power of attorney. As long as you're not doing it to circumvent the law. An attorney at law who receives a fee from a client for rendering services within the scope of the return attorney-client relationship does not hold himself out as a real estate broker, but he can do it. Trustees in bankruptcies, administrators, executors of an estate don't need a license. So if somebody passes away and you're the executor of the estate, you don't need a license to handle that estate. Elected officers or director of banking institutions. So if you're an officer of a bank, or you work for a saving institution, or a savings bank, or a credit union, you can sell the bank-owned properties. So Charleroy Federal, they got a guy that sells their foreclosures. He doesn't have to have a license, but he's only allowed to sell the bank he's employed for's properties. An officer or an employee of a cemetery company who has an incidental part of his particular duties and without remuneration shows lots in the company's cemetery. Cemetery company or cemetery owner controlled by a bona fide church or religious congregation. An auctioneer under the Auctioneer Licensing Act can sell real estate without a salesperson's license. An individual employed by the owner of a multifamily residential dwelling to manage the dwelling. He's not authorized to enter into leases or negotiate the terms and conditions of occupancy and hold hand money belonging to the tenants. Only the owner can, as long as the owner retains authority to make the decisions. But he can show the apartment buildings and provide information on rental amounts. Do you think that happens? Building rules or regulations and leasing qualifications. So there's a 10-unit apartment building. Okay, Garrett's one of the tenants. I own it. I could go to Garrett and say, hey, Garrett, will you help me out? Anybody that's interested in the unit, will you give them the information on the units available, tell them how much they are, give them these pamphlets, and then if you find somebody that's interested, I'll negotiate the lease with them. Okay, that's done all the time. So the Department of State issues the license. Okay, the department. So when you get your license, it comes from the Department of State. The Real Estate Commission. So the Department of State issues the license. Who investigates complaints?
Professional
Affairs. So the Bureau, right? They investigate. And then the Real Estate Commission approves the schools. So this school is approved by the Real Estate Commission. We had to have this location. It prescribes, the Real Estate Commission does. It investigates applications if you don't fill the application out properly. It sets fees subject to review under PA law, and it describes the subject matter for examinations. And it can deny licenses or institute disciplinary action. The Department of State contracts with an independent agency to conduct the testing. Okay, so where is the testing done? The testing is done by PSI that afternoon. Do you guys? Huh?
It wasn't easy, it wasn't hard.
It wasn't easy. Now you're taking them classes online, right?
Yeah.
Was it easier than going through the online muster? Huh?
Online's worse.
Online's there, worse, huh? Okay. So the Department of State contracts with independent agencies to conduct the testing. Who conducts the testing in Pennsylvania, Lex?
I don't know.
PSI. So when you passed the classes last time, you got your transcripts. There was information in there that says, if you want to take your real estate exam, go to PSI's website and sign up. And that's where you would send the information, right, Vaughn?
Yep.
Licensing period is the even number of years. So this is 2022, right? So that means March 31st or May 31st, excuse me, all the licenses are going to expire and they have to be renewed. Begins June 1st through May 31st. And the license is active when issued and properly renewed. So this year, before May 31st, all my agents have to renew their license. And then it begins June 1st to May 31st of every 2 years. So remember, it's the even years. This year, people are going to, so if you guys are going to be getting your license, it may be a little bit tricky if you get it prior to May 31st. Because if you got your license March 1st, the end of March, you're going to have to renew again at the end of May. But that's the decision you just have to make. Talk with your broker or manager to help you with that. I'm not sure. Let's break it up a little bit. Let's call Cindy.
It costs like $200 to renew your license.
I don't remember anyone by then.
Oh, no, it's really-
And the reason I want to call her,
Let's just keep going.
there may be a grace period.
Come all the time.
I think she did say that there was some kind of a grace period or something to do with it.
Let's get her on the phone, see if she answers. Lot, huh? It's a lot of
This
stuff.
chapter sucks.
This guy, remember, this chapter is a whole state portion of the test.
What's up?
Not too much, Sin. Hey, I got you on speakerphone. I got you in front of the group.
Okay.
Okay, so you have to renew your license before May 31st, correct?
That is correct.
And then it's good for 2-year period, and that's every 2 years on an even year, correct? So,
Even year.
so what happens if Christine passes her test on May 1st?
Oh, no. Anything after May, or I'm sorry, March 1st is good through May 31st of 2024.
Okay, so so write that down, guys. If you send your license in after March 1st, you're covered.
Yep.
Okay, and these guys aren't gonna finish up with the class until halfway through February, right?
Yeah. Yep,
March
yep.
3rd is our last.
So,
So by the time.
when's the last day?
I think it's like March.
Yeah, it'll be March.
February 24th. Okay, so perfect. So these guys are all good. They can go through the classes, pass their class, get their transcripts, sign up, and as long as they send in their license after March 1st, they're covered for the 2 years.
That is correct.
Perfect. Thanks for the help. Hey, how's everything going down there, okay?
Okay. Yep,
Good,
okay.
good. Catch up with you later.
All right, Tom.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
Is there a certain time frame after we get done with class that we have to take the test?
Yeah,
The next day.
No.
No.
yeah.
We have lots of time.
What's the time period you have?
Oh, there is, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, you have a time period to take the exam. Let's see, Cindy would have known that. Can I guess? I don't know. Google it, Vaughn. You're good at Googling.
What,
So like
what?
one or 2 years.
How long do you have to take the state exam in Pennsylvania once you pass the courses? I would think 5 years, but I could be wrong on that. I don't know all
I don't
this.
know why I thought it was 2 years. I don't know why I thought it was 3 years.
Yeah,
2 or 3 years.
maybe three or 5. And, I would say 5 years because it's been.
Yeah, so, because we took the class 2 years ago, when we need transcripts.
Yeah, we would need transcripts to get in those.
Did you get your?
Well, you
transcripts?
can't get transcripts without taking a class again.
Well, I'm saying we're.
I think it's. Are we finding on Google?
You have it.
So.
5 years of inactivity or expiration.
Okay.
Oh, wait, that says if your license has been inactive.
And scored early value.
Where did you find that?
Is it in the book? Let's dig, guys. Look it up. Dig in the book. So that you know how many years you have to take the exam. Because if you look it up, it'll stick.
I wonder if it's on PSI's website.
That's, maybe that's where it's taking it
10 years.
to. 10.
10.
Were you talking about the transcript, after you get your transcript?
Yeah.
You have 10 years.
You have 10 years.
Mhm.
Good.
Be taking this class until I'm 52. Tom.
What's that?
I'm gonna be taking this class until I'm 52.
Nah, you guys will be okay. You're on it. You're on it, Vaughn. You're gonna be fine. You're ready to take this. As soon as this class is over, I would schedule.
I am.
I'm only 8 years out.
What's that?
I'm for February 28th.
My transcript is from 2015.
So you knew, didn't you?
Well, I didn't know that was it. I thought it was 3 years, but I knew it was grandfathered in, is what Cindy had told me. So yeah, 10 years, but I looked on PSI.
Is that what you found on PSI? So transcripts are good for 10 years. You have 10 years to take your license?
Yeah.
Are we all in agreement with that? Maybe a test question.
Would you ask me about PSI again? What was the answer?
PSI is the independent testing agency that the Department of State uses for you to take your class. So getting back to the slideshow, because we're almost done. So the Department of State issues the license. You need to know that. Who investigates it? Who?
Occupational affairs.
Occupational and
Affair.
professional affairs. They investigate. The Real Estate Commission enforces the act. What act are we talking about? Real estate, what act? The Real Estate Licensing and Registration Act, right? And so the Real Estate Commission approves the schools, prescribes what information should be out, sets the fees, describes the subject matter for examinations, and denies licensees or institutes disciplinary action. And we talked about the licensing period is May 31st, begins June 1st and ends May 31st. So it begins June 1st and ends May 31st on even years. The Real Estate Commission establishes procedures to renew your license. Online renewal is available, so we do it online now. You need 14 hours of continuing ed to renew your license. So you guys are going to have to go back into continuing ed in 2 years, before 2 years is up, to take 14 hours to renew your license. Didn't we have that continuing ed video somewhere, Andrea?
Which video are you talking about?
Where I'm out on the golf course, swinging a club, and I missed the ball. And I'm talking about.
I don't think I was around for that.
What's that?
I don't think I was around for that.
You weren't. I wonder where it's at. So you need 14 hours. I don't know where it's at. If you run across it, 14 hours of continuing ed. You have to maintain and increase competency. The commission approves the work of the topic for the 14 hours. It can be instructor-led, or you can take 14 hours. You can take the continuing ed either way. Inactive licenses. You can voluntarily relinquish your license or escrow your license. Or if you fail to properly renew your license, it goes into escrow. You may not perform any activities while inactive. You may reactivate by submitting the proper forms within 5 years of the inactive status. So if you guys, let's say you guys want to get your license. Let's say Lauren gets her license, passes the state test, signs up, and then something in her life changes. And she says, Tom, I don't want to continue to keep my license, because it costs money to keep your license. Every month you got to pay fees. You have to pay the multi-list fees, you have to pay marketing fees. So it costs money to keep your license. So let's say you decide you don't want to. You could escrow that for 5 years.
I found it here.
Okay. Oh, you found the video? Can you email it? Good job. I knew you'd find it. Can you email it to me?
Yeah.
Perfect. Then I'll stick it in here. I could save it and then stick it in, huh?
Yeah.
How are we going to do that? How am I going to be able to
Because I'm on the web.
put it on YouTube? And then send me the link from YouTube.
Put it on YouTube?
Yep, put it on YouTube. Under,
I got it downloaded.
okay. Thank you. That's a nice video. And then once you get it on YouTube, let me know. Maybe we'll play it later. So how many years do you have to activate your license once you escrow? 5. How many hours of continue ed do you have to take? 14. Okay. Out of state license. We're almost done, guys. Non-residents license may be licensed by the following commission rules and regulations. Some states encourage streamlining license procedures. It's the ARELLO is the acronym for that. So PA authorizes reciprocity with states that have similar requirements. So if you have a license in Pennsylvania, can you go to West Virginia and sell real estate? Yes, you have to get a license in West Virginia. And some states have reciprocity where maybe you don't have to go through the whole, maybe you only have to take the okay.
If that state's part,
What's that?
if that state's part exam or the whole thing?
I don't know. It would depend on the state. So whatever West Virginia would require for you to get license in PA. I know people that have a West Virginia and a Pennsylvania license that live down on the border, close to the border. So I have some friends that work out of the Morgantown office, and they have a PA license too because they do some on both sides of the business. Just know that you can do it, but whatever the requirements are, you need to do it.
But there are some states we don't have to, right? Like Maryland?
I don't know if there's any states you don't have to.
Oh, okay.
I think whatever the state requires, you have to follow their guidelines to be able. Know that you can do it, but you have to, whatever state you want to sell in, you have to follow their requirements. Okay? And the fact that you have a license, you may not have to do like the normal person would do that has to take the test, take all the courses and everything. Maybe you just have to take an exam. Maybe you have to take the state portion of the exam. I don't know. I don't know. So see, it says here, the intent of reciprocity allows licensees to participate in more than one state, not intended to circumvent licensing requirements for a particular place of business. You must seek a standard license, must pass an exam, or fulfill other requirements that that state is going to require. Andrew, we're going to end this here in a couple minutes.
Why did he do that? He just made it up for no
I thought we
reason.
were going to do it here at 60, but we've got a couple more slides yet.
Still like 6 more pages.
Okay,
We're gonna do all the pages.
what's that? We got 3 more slides, and we're going to be done for today on this part. Then we'll do some review. Operation of a real estate business. The licensed broker must maintain a fixed office. Current licenses of all the licensees must be prominently displayed in the office. So all the agents in my office, we have to have a copy of their license displayed for the real estate commission. The office devoted to the transactions of real estate must permit business to be conducted in privacy. So you have to have a private conference room or someplace where the clients could go in. If it's in a private residence, it must be a separate entrance. So there used to be a guy up in Perry office, 51 Real Estate, George Rubish. He had his real estate office in his home. So you'd have to have a private entrance so people can go in and out of his office without going through the house. The name of the business. Okay, the business name is the name used by the business entity. It must be used on all business activity and communication. The business name from the license must be displayed prominently in a permanent fashion outside of all offices. So if you go outside of my office, the name that's on the license is displayed. It must appear exactly as on the license. Exactly as on the license. So in this case, ABC Realty, Inc. Branch offices. Additional licenses required for each branch. So when I had a branch office, when I had 2 offices, the main office in West Newton, a branch office in Ross Draver, I had to have a separate license for the Ross Draver office. But the licenses are issued under the main office's name, supervised by the broker of record. You may not open a branch office just for one person's benefit. Okay. I'm not 100% what they mean by that, but whatever. If Lexi wanted me to open a branch office in her house, I couldn't do it just for that one person. The associate broker must supervise. Licenses must be displayed at the main office. for the branch. But yet a list of licenses is kept at the branch office. I would know that for a branch office where the licenses have to be displayed.
It's on YouTube, I put it on there.
Okay. So where would they have to be displayed? What did you call it? So I can search.
I just called it, continuing education, Cedar Brook,
Okay.
so I don't even know what it is.
Just plain view?
No, the license for a branch office have to be at the main office. So when I had a branch office in Ross Draver, all the licenses would have to be in West Newton. A list of the licenses have to be in the branch office, but they have to be. Licenses must be displayed at the main office for branch offices. Okay, I know we're almost there, guys. Just hang in there. Change of address. A licensee may not receive compensation from anybody except employing broker. That's important. If the broker's office moves, all licenses must make application to the commission for a new license for the new location. So when we bought the location that we're at right now, I had two offices. I had one in West Newton, one in Ross Draver. We bought a new location in Ross Draver. All my agents had to get a new license with the new location on it. And it must be filed before the move or 10 days after the move. Okay, so you got 10 days. You may want to know that. How many days do you have if your employee broker moves his office location to update your license? 10 days.
So if you don't file the new address, can you still sell houses?
What's that?
Can you still sell houses?
It would be a violation of the Real Estate Licensing and Registration Act, and you could be fined or put in jail. Change of employment. If you leave your broker, you have to notify the commission within 10 days. You have to pay a required fee. The new broker has to acknowledge that you're working for him, and you have to have a copy of the change of notification services, a temporary license, until you get yours in. Applications, if you send your license in, you change brokers, and you don't get your license within 30 days, you're responsible to let the broker know. Okay, we're going to end right there, Andrea. If you can cut this, and let me see if I can pull that video up for the guys. And we're going to start on, I don't know, we're not doing bad with